psychotherapist here in New York City. And today we are going to talk about the subtypes. This is for you fours. We need a little special time together. We need our intimate time just to talk about us, don't we? But I'm going to say this. I hope you pass this on to other people who are trying to learn about the subtypes. While we will be the guinea pigs here, I think the subtypes are so crucial, such a powerful tool of understanding how we operate in the world. So just a little bit about me. I came to the Enneagram later than I would have liked to. I've been getting therapy for 20 years. I was a client way before I became a therapist. And when I found the Enneagram, I knew that I was going to be using this as a tool because it just made so much sense. I read the description about a 4 after I took that test and went, oh my gosh, this is 20 years of me learning about myself on paper. The notes I had taken in therapy and from reading all the psychology books that I had to and from philosophy, it just all started to make sense. But when I found out about the subtypes, which I wish was earlier on, but was a little later in the game, it was like that moment in Fight Club where Edward Norton realizes he's also Tyler Durden, and the whole movie goes, and there's this pause, and you are just taking it all in and realizing the rug just got pulled out from under you. Like as if 1,000 puzzle pieces just all of a sudden, I was wrestling with them, and then they just made the picture. Because 4s, when you add on the subtype, can look like 3 different numbers completely. I didn't know that. So when I would meet other 4s, sometimes I just go, like, we just don't have the same wiring we do emotionally. We all have what we want and want also what we don't have. We have a certain amount of soul trouble, which has followed us since our early youth. We carry a storehouse of both joy and suffering. We have excessive standards. We're uneasily impressed. Like it is so hard to impress us. And I wanted more and more attention and felt ugly about that. I didn't realize that as a 4, that's part of our game. But as the subtype hit, I'm a sexual subtype, which that doesn't mean I like to get it on or do my thing. It just means I'm intense. It means I am into one-on-one relationships, into pairings. I like certain authors, certain musicians, and I somehow pair with them in my head. I've been the best man at a lot of weddings. I have a lot of close, intimate friendships, but when I walk into a party, I'm not overly consumed about the group. I'm looking for who the interesting people are. I didn't know why that was my wiring, or when I get deeply hurt, why there's often this part inside of me that wants to go on the offensive, that doesn't want to feel weak and small and deficient. So I'm going to ask you guys to put on your psycho-detective outfit, and we're going to get psycho-educated a little bit. Hopefully, if you've done some research on this, we're just going to add some pieces and maybe just feel known. Maybe just feel like we're doing this together. Because when we are rootless, or we feel ruthless or restless as 4s, it's good to have that connection piece with somebody who knows our language, who's also a bit addicted to suffering, who likes to talk about themselves. God dang it, I like to talk about myself. That's that 4 inside of us. So this will be an intro to the subtypes. What I'm going to do next is do each subtype individually. And I'm going to do something I think is cool, but you might not. I love the music of the Smiths and the lead singer, Stephen Patrick Morrissey, who's a kooky bird, but he is one of the 4est of the 4s. His songs and the lyrics speak to the 4's heart in so many ways, from the social, the self-preserving, and the sexual. The songs represent our struggle and our joy. And so I'm going to use him, his lyrics, and the song titles as a way to describe all three. And that will be coming up next three of this series. So if you can watch on the playlist when it pops up, just check out all three. I hope I do it in a creative and fun way, and that I integrate music and art appreciation in this game, because we are unique. Even for me, I have to find the unique way to express how beautiful the Enneagram is, how important it's been to me. And I want to use my favorite artists, my favorite writers, singers, painters. I want to use them as a conduit for us understanding ourselves. So let's get into it. Let's move on to the next part. So before we go any further, I just want to tell you a little bit more about me. I love helping people understand things about themselves they didn't even know they wanted to know. Whether that's through YouTube, in my sessions with my clients, at a bar, if I just sit down next to somebody and the conversation just gets a little deeper than usual for them, and they might walk away going, never thought about that. Kind of comes fluidly for me. I don't have to try too hard. And I love that about myself. And I realized when I got into the subtypes that my personal accent, which is what I'd love to help you find, the lifeblood inside of me, the stuff that makes me me, was there very early on. That often there's this childhood pain and we find an instinct to handle life with. And I somehow, for some reason, chose the sexual instinct. That means I'm a bit more intense, a bit more one-on-one, and so I'm often locked in and engaged with people. I could sit down and have long conversations, and I could help people know about themselves, and I will learn something too. That was there early, so it's not a surprise I became a therapist. It's not a surprise that I love to engage with people and draw them out and let them look at their shit and help them clean up their shit, help you dig deep and learn about who you are, why you operate the way you operate. That is a joy to me. And so when I looked at the subtypes and I found out that I was a sexual subtype, it made tons of sense. And so maybe in your life, as you explore, there is going to be epiphanies about why you have landed where you're landed, or where you should be landed, the places you haven't gone yet. Okay, so with this scrappy work we're going to do, as we get psychoeducated here, I have to think first about what our passion is. Our passion is envy. If I walk outside right now, I'll be envious about 37 things within a day, from very low level to a high level. It just follows me. Now my subtype, when I am in stress or insecure or feeling rejected or lonely or left out, that subtype's going to hit the envy, and it's true for you too. That whether it's sexual, social, or self-preserving, there will be this collision. And that's where a lot of the ugly stuff happens. Our instincts are there to keep us alive. So let's just start here. Our instincts there to keep us alive. Now, we are not dodging T-Rexes and looking for pterodactyls that might be attacking us anymore. A lot of our needs have been met, and a lot of the pursuit is emotional in our life. But a lot of us do deal with everyday abuse and hardship. And just life being what it is. So we have come up with instincts to protect ourselves. The social type looks to the herd, looks to the group to keep them alive and well. So if they walk into a party, they're going to know all the different dynamics that are happening in the group, and they're going to be pretty aware of how the group is operating. If there's beef between people, and who likes who best, and how do I fit in? how do I get my worth from the group? And what can I give to the group? That is their survival mechanism. The sexual types, like myself, we walk into a party and we're wondering who we can pair with. This isn't just romantically, it's anyone. Who are the people we dig? Are they already there, or are we looking for new people? Who's catching our eye? Who can we seduce to pull in? How do I get love? Social type from the group, sexual type from this pairing, self-preserver. Now they look at the things that sustain them. It's less about the human contact initially. It's first about, do I have the resources to go out into the world? Have I been fed well? Have I taken care of my body? Do I have shelter that feels safe and secure and gives me the resources I need to go out into the world and be in the world? All of this is about keeping us alive and optimal. It's survival. It's human behavior. So our instincts will drive us towards that. What makes us feel safest? For me, when I'm in a shitty spot, I will feel most safe by connecting with an individual or two. So let's look at it this way. If I put my fingers out in front of me, I'm going to use myself as an example. I'm primarily a sexual type. That's my dominant type. My middle type is a self-preserver. I'm aware of where the food is, what feels good. You are in an environment that I love right now, and I like to keep it secure. There's blankets, there's pillows, there's the right feeling couches. I like my table to be just so, because when I come here, I get rejuvenated. And the food I eat here and the temperature of the apartment and the nook in which I sleep in, that stuff makes me feel safe, which is a very self-preserving thing. My regressed or repressed is social. I'm least likely to get overly concerned with how the whole group experiences me. And I'm least needy of the group in general for my worth. But the social type is going to need a lot of that support, but they're also going to have a lot of their pain because of the group, because of how they are either in or out of the group. So again, got this instinct, we've got envy, and when they clash, heavy things happen. So if you go to that party and you are in a vulnerable state, or something happens in the party to make you feel vulnerable, well, now we have the instincts going to go on blast. So when we have these three, I think as we get healthier, they close down a bit. We become more integrated and whole. We're using all three well, but we are always using all three. When you are unhealthy, they look pretty spread out, in my mind. The dominant's very dominant, and the repressed is very repressed. It gets the least utilized. Now, it's still utilized, but it's going to get relegated to the basement, where your dominant is going to take the elevator up. Now, the danger in that is you're operating without integration and from one with too much intensity and too much reliance. You're not well-rounded. So this is where we have to do the hard work of looking inside of ourselves, finding out again what lifebloods us, what's our personal accent, how do we get closer and closer to the true self? And then these close down, and I will promise you that as you get healthier, it starts to almost flatten out a bit. You might not know what you are in a given moment. I still believe you have a dominant and a repressed, of course. But one and the other might not have such an extreme deviation between how they are used and when they are used. And that's the cool thing. We will grow, and then we will be more unified, whole, and healthy. All right, so now we're going to go into the specifics just a little bit. And again, as I told you, then I'm going to do a one on each. and you will get to luxuriate in yourself a little bit, whatever you are, social, sexual, or self-preserving. Cool? So let me indulge just a little bit here and luxuriate in who I am and what I am, which is a sexual 4. Again, they are the one-on-one 4s. They're a bit more intense. They actually might feel a bit more engaged and like they are more present in a moment. And I will go on and talk about all 3 of these in separate episodes. But just as a cursory understanding is, sexual 4s want to share our seed. We want a legacy. You know, I don't have kids. Don't know if I'll ever have kids, but my legacy is still important. This is part of my legacy. My relationship with YouTube or you on the other side of the camera. I want to pass on this information. I want you to take what I've learned over 20 some odd years and learn from it. And that's my way of playing it forward or making sure that there's something immortalized. Now, we can also be destructive. What I mean by that is when we are hurt or rejected, when we feel pain, we often will want to lash out. So they say that the 4 sexual type is the most ruthless type out of all the 27 different combinations. So if there's 9 numbers and there's 3 subtypes, we have 27 different types of humans. And it is considered that the sexual 4 is brutal at times. This is why they get mistaken as 8s. Because they challenge, they push. When I am hurt, I don't really want to feel my weakness and my smallness, my powerlessness. So I will try to push back on the situation. If a friend rejects me, a whole slew of negativity runs in my head about them. Kind of want to tear them down and bring them down to my level. Or elevate myself above them to feel better about myself. So when the sexual 4 is feeling weak and vulnerable, they will probably try to elevate. They can be competitive, which is pretty dramatic, is it not? So that's why we are called the dramaticists. I hate the name because I don't feel like a drama king or queen, but I know in my 20s or in college, especially when I was young, that my friends could suck my wrath when I was hurt, when I was feeling weak and vulnerable or insecure. So we have to watch out for that. But we place relationship with the other above all else. It is our priority to build very intimate relationships. So we can often expedite relationships pretty quick, speed them up, accelerate them. Even if we're sitting at a bar, we might get to know a big part of that person's story who's sitting next to us very quickly. Now, the social type is the social commentary type. They will be aware of what's going on socially on a global level and on a local level, like just with their friends or if they go into a party. And they will comment and critique the group. They might be really great social activists, but they're kind of the quintessential 4. They're the 4 that might be a bit more sensitive, melancholy, needy. They want secure bonds with the social unit. They want that shared purpose with them for the greater good. They can be the relational glue, and they can often compromise the group because they want the attention of the group and the group isn't giving it to them, so they can break down the group sometimes with their need. They're aware of social status. They are aware of group pairings and who has the most power in the room and who wants the most power and who has the least power. And so they can often be aware of the least and the highest, and they ultimately want to belong. They want to belong. And rejection is so scary for them in a different way than it is for the sexual and the self-preserver. How do I look is often part of their game. Can I charm you? Can I bring you in? Now, where the sexual type has a bit more of that charisma, they stand out a little, and they have that sexual energy, which does come off as seductive. The social 4 has a seductiveness too, but it's more charming. It's less competitive. They don't want to have beef with the group. So they're going to try to fit in and stand out at the same time, which can be difficult. And their insecurities can get the best of them, and then shame hits. So they social comment, and shame is loud. Where the sexual is competitive, shame, although it's important to all of us to reckon with, it's really loud for the social type. They feel deeply, and you will know it. For the self-preserver, resistance is a big part of their game. They're the long sufferers. Physical safety, security, comfort is a big part of what makes them feel safe. And so when the world is coming at them, they need those resources: food, shelter, finances, the basic necessities. That's why I said, like, look at my apartment. I am heavily influenced by that self-preserver. I want to feel safe here. And I often retreat here to find that comfort when the world is hard. They will hoard their energy and conserve it to go back out into the world. They are considered the counter type. One of these things is always not like the other. One of these things is not like the other. One of these things just doesn't fit in. It's the self-preserver. They don't show their envy like the other two do. Their suffering isn't as loud. They suffer behind the scenes. They actually look at the social type and the sexual type and be like, there's like a little like judgment there of, why are you guys so dramatic? I get it. I mean, I understand that. They want those resources to go out into the world, and when they're suffering, they want you to notice and come to them and pull out of them their best stuff. So they kind of test you to see if you will notice them enough, because they don't want to burden you, but they will share, and they want attention just like the other two. It's just manifested in a different way. All right, let's move on. So just to recap, these are instincts. This is how we handle the world. When we are in a bad place, when we are scared, when we are frightened, when we are feeling vulnerable, weak, insecure, when we are being abused, when we are being taken advantage of, we tap into this type of way of dealing with the world. And our dominant will lead us to self-protect. The fight or flight instinct is real. And many of us living in the Western world don't have incredible amount of fear of death as much as a fear of not being known. And of course, there are many of you who are in abusive situations. And so it is our responsibility, we can't be ignorant, to know this stuff. Know how people operate in the world. Not just for us, but how do we deal with people who are the sexual type, the self-preserving, and the social? How do we have compassion for them and empathy for them and not try to change them, but try to work with them? As we unfold, our awareness of how others are in the world will unfold. We will expand our awareness of other humans and ourselves, and it will allow us to love ourselves well and love others well. And that's pretty much the goal. So this is your responsibility. Carl Jung says, neurosis is always a substitute for legitimate suffering. So when we are ignorant or unaware of how we are operating in the world, it's a type of neurosis that's getting in the way. It's substituting for the legitimate suffering of just learning how we operate in the world. I like to say that the sexual type is insufferable. The social type are the sufferers, and the self-preservers are long-suffering. We each are annoying in our own way, and each are beautiful in our own way. And it's cool just to learn about it so that we can learn other humans. And with the other Enneagram numbers, if you just know this, you're going to have a better understanding of your friends and your family and the people actually who both have the possibility of hurting you and helping you in life. Cool, so let's make friends with the subtypes. Let's use them well. Again, I'm going to go and do the other 3, and those will be coming up, and they'll even pop up on the playlist here. If you can subscribe, cool. Hit that little bell so you know when I'm coming out with new material, because I'm going to constantly try to do that. So, as Rainer Marie Rilke says, from here we go everywhere. I've enjoyed my time, and let's go out and be our better selves. All right, guys, have a good one.